Thank you very much, Eric Wainaina, for those two very intricate numbers that have a lot to do with our level of patriotism. Remember, every coin that exchanges hands illegally, you have a responsibility. They say both the giver and the taker have a percentage of guilt to play. My guests were getting so much feedback on social media, on their Twitter handles and everything, based on the perspective they are giving on the pertinent issues we are talking about. Before we went to Eric, Martha, and I posed this to you. You get to a government hospital, somebody attends to you, and as you leave, you gather that this person is a class 7 dropout who never went to medical school, never went to the university. Now that is the story that is captured on page 7 of the Standard. Bogus doctor treated patients for 6 months. This is a Standard 7 dropout. He says a senior officer hired him and occasionally gave him pocket money. Now, a Standard 7 dropout who had been masquerading as a doctor at the Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital has been arrested. Peter Nyapeni, 26, was arrested on Wednesday evening. The police say he was a quack and had worked at the hospital for 6 months. The suspect, he was reporting for night duty and access to hospital's main pharmacy. He would wear a lab coat and carry a stethoscope.
Wow. I think I don't even know what to say about that, because it's quite, we are joking with people's lives, literally, and it's not the first of its kind.
It's not.
We had another one in Nandi, and my worry is the responsibility. Who takes the responsibility? Because this person did not bring themselves to the hospital. They did not just do a walk-in and buy a lab coat and started working. Someone must be held responsible, and I think that is where we go wrong. And as a society, even in the police, we've had imposters. One person now who is now cleared to run for a member of parliament position in Joro. I think as a country we are sick totally, and I think we must push for the responsibility, and this must be to the CS, the highest organ possible. We cannot joke with people's lives like this, because you don't even know what they have done for the last 6 months.
This is
cases of negligence, cases of deaths that are caused by negligence and such malpractices. I think we really are joking with people's lives.
This is a disaster, would you say so?
Of course, it is appalling to even
think. And earlier on, Isaac Mwaura said in other dispensations, a disaster would prompt a cabinet minister's resignation.
It is crazy.
Isaac.
Yes. I think it's really sad. You remember also the case of Mugo Wairimo, who at some point even had offered to vie with some. I don't know that he actually did, but it just exposes the rot in our society. And we must just be honest with each other as Kenyans, because
there was actually a case in Kapsabet, I think in Nandi.
Yes.
Yeah. So Charles, I think it's a sad state of affairs, and it just goes ahead to show how, for example, we value titles. As long as somebody is brandishing a stethoscope and a clean lab coat, then they are doctor, and even clinical officers are called doctors in the village, and then we glorify them. And that is why you also see people paying hefty sums of money for their sons and daughters to study medicine, while they don't even have the calling, the aptitude, or the acumen to do so. And I think I want to say it is not just in medicine. That sounds appalling, because then it is. But there are so many other quirks. Remember the Matiang'i, issue of fake certificates. Now, even when it comes to leadership, we are having people going through crash programs. We have politicians, paying others to do for them homework in return for bursary so that they can pass in universities, and these universities are open everywhere. So there is a serious problem of integrity in this country.
Mheshimiwa Chilo, who is to blame as we wind up, because I'm told we need to move to the Hilton Hotel and who is to blame?
Thank you, Charles. One, it's a very unfortunate thing. It's unfortunate because gullible and needy and suffering members of the public who visit our public hospitals are the ones who get exposed to this kind of risk. Now, in law, the person responsible for that institution takes liability. If you are the person who is supposed to deploy staff, supervise staff, and ensure quality, then you should not a minute after this discovery
not be in the office this morning.
Yes, you should be somewhere in a jail or trying to respond to civil and criminal liability over this. But again,
as you wind up,
this is the time to also take political liability. If it is an institution under the county, I think that governor or whoever is responsible should pay for these politically. If it's a national institution under the national government, I think that should be a political thing. But I want to apologize to that segment of society as an aspiring leader, that should not happen under our watch.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid that is just about all we can have this morning. Like I told you earlier, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, in partnership with the National Police Service, are launching the 2017 Election Monitoring Program and unveiling speech monitoring gadgets at the Hilton Hotel, and this event will be brought to you live by Citizen TV in the next 1 or 2 minutes. It was my pleasure having you as always. Thank you very much, Isaac Maura, Mheshimiwa Martha Wangari, and of course Mheshimiwa Ochila Yako. Let's do this again some other time. My name is Charles Odhiambo, and have a blessed day.
Indeed, it has taken your hand for Kenya to be where we are. So this morning, Lord, we pray for peace in every corner of this country. And we pray, especially as we prepare to go to the elections, Father God, as Kenyans, may the Spirit of God of oneness and unity be among your people. We thank you and we worship you. Thank you for hearing this prayer, for I ask this in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Kwa jina la Mwenyezi Mungu mwenye kuna amesha neema kubwa kubwa na mwenye kuna amesha neema ndogo ndogo, tuko hapa tuko taje kwa jina lako ili ufanikishe katika mambo yetu, na tunaelekea katika uchaguzi mkuu, uchaguzi ambayo iwe ni ya kutuleta pamoja, ya kutuletea mapenzi baina ya Wakenya wote, wadogo na wakubwa, na usuluhishe mambo yetu, na utufanyie sisi kuwa ni wepesi, na uturizishie ili kwamba tupate kufikia lengo. Kwa hiyo zote tuko hapa, viongozi tunaombea viongozi ili wafanikiwe katika uongozi wao, na tunaombea wote na washikadau na wale ambao wametayarisha kikao kama hiki ili iwe ni kikao cha heri, kikao cha kusuluhisha baina ya watu. Na tunasema kwa pamoja amin, amin, thumma amin.
Thank you, Sheikh Boru and Bishop Omai, for those wonderful words of prayer. Now in the room, I'd like to acknowledge some very important people with us who are critical in this process. And I'd like to recognize the presence of the NCIC Chair, Honorable Francis Ole Caparo. Also with us is the Director of Criminal Investigation, Mr. Ndegwa Muhoro. We also have the Chair of the IEBC, Mr. Wafula Chebukati, and the CEO of the NCIC, Mr. Hassan Mohammed, who will also be speaking to us a bit later on. Other actors in the room who are very instrumental in ensuring that this monitoring program goes off without a hitch. We have representatives from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. We also have various stakeholders. We have the National Police Service with us, various OCPDs, DCIOs, superintendents of police. So it is safe to say that this has to be the most secure room, at least in Nairobi. Now that we have several police actors here with us, we also have representatives from the IEBC, the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, representatives from the EACC, the Communication Authority of Kenya, the Media Council of Kenya, the Ministry of Interior, as well as the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology, and the National Steering Committee on Conflict Management and Peace Building is also with us, and fellow members of the Fourth Estate. Karibu sana. Now we will begin with our national anthem. Kayamba Africa, I'd like to invite you once more, please, to remember why we are here. This is about a cohesive nation, a nation that will coexist together with our various tribes and communities. So if you would lead us through our national anthem, I ask for ladies and gentlemen to please rise to your feet as we observe our national anthem. Thank you. Thank you, Kayamba. You may take your seats, ladies and gentlemen. Now, there is a lovely 4-year-old girl who walked into the room with such confidence. She's about a quarter of my size, and it is hard to believe that at just 4 years old, she is a public speaker and a poet, and she has really inspired so many people across the country with her words of inspiration, encouraging many Kenyans across the country to coexist peacefully. I'd like to invite Zawadi Kayo, and she will be giving us a little selection, a poem. Here she comes. She looks beautiful in her white, her red, green, and black, the colors of our national flag. Can we give her a round of applause as she makes her way up? Just to encourage her a bit. It's not easy to get up in front of a crowd, but at just 4 years old, she is showing quite a bit of confidence. Zawadi, please come and take the floor. Here she comes.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. How are you today? Are you ready for my performance? I don't hear some noise. Here I go. My name is Zawadi Kayo. I'm 4 years old. I want to tell you a poem, words in a name. Thank you. Everybody has a name. Some are short, like Joe. Some are long, like Ma Cherry. Some are single, like Jesus. Some are double, like me Guna. Chien, Dungu, Ki, Prono, Patel, Mueni, Mama, Kayu, name it. We all have different names. No name is wrong. Zule zoyembe zitawedu. Zule zoyembe zitawedu. Zule zoyembe zitawedu. Now these 5 years before before I was born. Mama says Kenya was burning 5 years before I was born. I am told our people were fighting that elections brought us shame, that we fought because of our names. 5 years after my birth, Mama says there will be elections. 5 years after my birth, Zawadi prays that you will save this nation, that she will not need Kofi Annan, that we will love all names and fight none, that elections come and go, but our names are here to stay. Do not fight or kill each other because of their names, for we are all Kenyans and created in the image of God. Do you like your name? My name is Zawadi Kayu, and I love my name. Yes, you. Yes, you. What is your name? Do you want to be your name like me? I am Zawadi, a special gift to humanity, and I love my name. Won't you tell me your name, please? Thank you.
Wonderful. One more round of applause for Zawadi. Didn't she do an amazing job? There's one line that stuck out to me from her poem. She said, "Elections come and go, but our names are here to stay." That should resonate with everyone in this room and anyone who is watching, because that is exactly what this elections monitoring program is also about, to ensure that we don't have to go through what we did as a country in 2007 and 2008, so that Zawadi and the other children in her generation don't have to witness that. Now, beginning with the program, this is a very critical one, because the National Police Service police officers are going to be trained by the NCIC on monitoring elections. We know that the campaign season officially kicks off from tomorrow. Some may argue that it has already started, but it is important and critical that our police officers are well equipped, well informed, as they go out into the campaign trail and rallies and monitor and ensure that the right thing is being said and that people are being rallied the right way. I'd like to invite our first speaker, the CEO of the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, Mr. Hassan Mohammed, to make his remarks.
Good morning, everybody. The chairman of NCIC, the chair of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Mr. Wafula Chebukati, the director of Criminal Investigation Department, who is here in his own right but is also representing the Inspector General of the Police, who was not able to be here today. He will explain. We have representatives from, we have our commissioners, Vice Chairperson of our commission, Njeri Wanyoike, Commissioner Honorable Morris Zoro. We have Mr. Kemo from the Directorate of Public Prosecution, and my friend there from the Communication Authority of Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, I take this opportunity to welcome all of you to this function, which entails a launch of the 2017 General Election Monitoring Program, followed by training of the selected officers from the National Police Service on collection and preservation of evidence on hate speech. It is important to state from the onset that today's activity is just one of the many similar programs we have been undertaking at the national and county level as a continuous campaign to deal with hate speech as a result of the heightened political activities as we approach the general elections, which is slated for August 8, 2017. The equipment we will issue today and officers whom we will train, together with a host of other police officers trained in the past, and there are many of them. Since 2012, I think we have trained hundreds of police officers, and we have 116 cohesion monitors who are deployed to all counties in March 2017. These groups will undoubtedly bolster the campaign against hate speech. Those efforts, though substantial, are not adequate in themselves. Dealing with hate speech, ethnic contempt, or incitement to violence and other related offenses requires the concerted efforts of all Kenyans and a change of attitude. Unfortunately, many Kenyans care more for the hate mongers than the potential damage their actions can cause to our beloved country. In many cases, hate mongers get emboldened when they are cheered by Kenyans or treated as heroes and sometimes given rousing homecomings after taking plea in court or after being acquitted of hate speech cases. Ladies and gentlemen, the current consignment of equipment, and as I said, there is so much equipment which is in the field. We have been training on a monthly basis, but this is another consignment, consists of 47 body-worn cameras, 50 camcorders, and 170 voice recorders. I believe the officers have some of them. Can you just wave your equipment just for those who have, just to show that this is not, yes. So we have already issued this equipment. Thank you very much. Thank you. Officers will be inducted on the use of the equipment and the preservation of evidence, among other subjects. The information recorded by the body-worn cameras. We are using the body-worn cameras for the first time. We're issuing them for the first time. And I said we have issued 47 of them. If we get more money, we'll buy some more of those equipment. This equipment is expensive. It costs, I think this particular consignment costs about 14.7 million shillings. 12 million shillings from the government of Kenya and about 2.7 million shillings from UNDP and from CEDA through UNDP. And of course, we have been issuing other equipment. So these body-worn cameras, which the information which will be recorded on those body-worn cameras can be transmitted to the commission situation room by docking to a computer. So once you record, the officers can dock to a computer and that information will come to our situation room. The commission will then analyze the information to identify utterances which are abusive or insulting. In addition, the commission will also organize for expert translation in case vernacular was used. And in most cases, vernacular is used when it comes to insulting people. Because when people are speaking in English or Kiswahili, they sometimes pretend to be more rational. Then they veer off into their own vernacular, and that is where the problem starts. And those they can express themselves in those abuses, with those abuses, using their own vernacular. I don't know what is the reason. I don't know whether they want to say that we are savage or whatever, or it's more easier to express yourself in your own vernacular. So we will be able to to translate that, and we have to do that sometimes using experts, because in the past instances, courts have demanded certain standards, even when the translation is provided by an ordinary person whose first language is the one being translated. I remember a case where the court said that the translator, who was an investigator, did not know how to write the Kikuyu language. I hear there is something you write on top, I don't know, and something down there, and well, then he said this man did not even understand, so he wanted an expert, and he threw out the case. So we probably have to use experts sometimes to translate. And as I said, in most instances, speakers will behave rationally, and then when they are, of course, when they are speaking in English. I think I don't want to take much of your time. We'll have our guests here to say something, but all I want to say is that we have a tough time ahead of us, and we have all to be prepared. And the reason why we want the officers on the ground to act and not wait for NCIC is because they are the ones, they are the frontline people, they are the ones who deal with law and order and security. It's not even the NCIC. Ours is to guide. The law says actually we are supposed to facilitate and promote harmony and peaceful coexistence. That's what the law says. So it's you people who will do that job. In conclusion, I want to thank all our partners in dealing with this national menace. The National Police Service is the foremost of them, of course. The Director of Public Prosecutions, the Registrar of Political Parties, Communication Authority of Kenya, Media Council of Kenya, Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the National Steering Committee on Peace Building and Conflict Management, Attorney General's Office, among many others. Asanteni sana, karibuni.
Thank you for those remarks, Commissioner Mohammed. One more round of applause for him. Thank you for setting the stage. Now, 73 days to election day, not a lot of time, considering that potentially we have at least 19 million people who will be going to the polls on August 8th. So that is really cutting out the work for the IEBC in terms of preparations. 15,000, just over 15,000 candidates will be running from offices from the president all the way to MCA. So a lot still needs to be done. And on that note, I'd like to invite the chairperson of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Mr. Wafula Chebukati, to make his remarks.
Thank you, Victoria. The chairman of the NCIC, the Director of Criminal Investigations, the other agencies represented here this morning, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I want to start off by giving my appreciation to Sawadi for her lovely poem. I'll take away something from there. We all have a responsibility, we all have a name, and let's not forget that we're all Kenyans despite our names. So Sawadi, thank you. I hope after the elections you'll make another poem which will all make us happy. Thank you. I'm honored to be involved in today's occasion where we are launching the election monitoring program. As IBC, we remain happy to collaborate with partner agencies to ensure the upcoming elections are not only free, fair and credible, but also that the country's security is guaranteed during this electioneering period starting this weekend. I'm informed that the monitoring program to be launched today involves training of security agents in collection and preservation of evidence relating to hate speech, incitement to violence and other offenses. One of the main requirements of conducting a free, fair and credible election is of course doing it in a peaceful environment where voters can express their will to vote freely without violence, without threats, intimidation or coercion. To achieve successful, peaceful and secure elections, the the state and non-state agencies present here today are very key in their complementary roles to secure these elections. At the IBC, we continue to play our constitutional role in ensuring proper preparations for the August elections, including engaging various stakeholders to ensure that we alleviate any known causes of electoral insecurity, and expect that 2017 elections will be conducted peacefully. We are nonetheless minded that electoral violence has been an ugly feature in our electoral cycle, in Kenya especially in 1992, after the multi-party elections were introduced, 1997, and the worst part of it was 2007, which was marked with the violence that spilled over most parts of the country. This was the darkest part of our history. Under my leadership and that of my fellow commissioners at IBC, we are committed to charting a different course for the country's elections, and we are glad to see the launch of this monitoring program, and trust that it will deter any ill-advised players bent on disturbing the country's peace. Electoral conflict and violence can be seen as any random or organized act or threat to intimidate, physically harm, blackmail, or abuse a political stakeholder in seeking to determine, delay, or influence the outcome of an electoral process. Election security can be defined as the process of protecting electoral stakeholders, information, facilities, or events. As a commission, we have established the Code of Conduct Enforcement Committee, and we have a close working relationship with the Director of Public Prosecution to ensure we regulate the conduct of the electoral activities in a manner that guarantees that every voter freely exercises their rights, and that also we are also committed to meting out appropriate penalties to persons or political parties that breach the law. Ladies and gentlemen, the high-stakes nature of election competition attracts potential conflict, which sometimes results in violence. This electoral violence usually manifests and intensifies during the various phases of the electoral cycle. As IBC, we have conducted a baseline survey that has revealed that various counties are likely to have election-related violence, particularly during this period of campaigns. It starts with, we have seen it start with the period of registration of voters, nominations, campaign period, and election. It will happen also on election day and sometimes during and after. But that's why we are here today. And we have identified hate speech and incitement by political actors, sometimes opinion leaders, and sometimes even the media as triggers of that violence. We will soon share with you the findings of this baseline survey and the measures, mitigating measures, which we hope will be put in place. Curbing electoral violence requires a multifaceted approach. It requires IBC, it requires constitutional commissions, it requires the judiciary, political actors, independent officers, security agencies, and the country's peace-building infrastructure, including religious leaders who must work together in order to address key challenges that may affect this electoral process. My commissioners and I adopted an open door policy when we came in office, and collaborative approach on assumption of where we have actually networked with all these agencies present here today and those who are not here, and especially the NCIC has been part of our networking process, as well as the police. On our part, we have also rolled out various measures to prevent and mitigate the effects of electoral violence, including, number one, we set up our team known as Election Security Arrangement Program, ESAP, which was launched some times back, and it was graced by the Inspector General of Police. Director of Criminal Investigation was also present, as well as NCIC. The National Police Service has been very instrumental in this particular project. This program was launched on 9th May with the aim of building capacity of law enforcement officers and stakeholders to understand their role in the electoral process, including detection and prevention of election offenses, and also to apprehend and charge election offenders. And this program has about 150,000 officers involved. We also have our program on voter education. A responsive curriculum has been developed and will be shared with other stakeholders accredited to the Commission to offer voter education and increase our reach. These forums are envisaged to bring about sharing of experiences with a view to curb electoral violence. On this initiative, we'll be working with various universities and institutions of higher learning. Thirdly, as a Commission, we have set up, as I said, the Electoral Code of Conduct Enforcement Committee, which brings in all candidates and agents as well as political parties must sign the Electoral Code of Conduct. I will also be chairing the Electoral Code of Conduct Enforcement Committee, which has already been set up and undergone capacity building. And we shall enforce the Code of Conduct strictly before, during, and after elections in accordance with the law. We also have we have gone in deployment of electoral risk management tool, which is an election early warning system developed by IDEA. The tool has helped the Commission in identifying risks and formulating mitigating strategies. We will intensify collaboration on the use of EWER with other stakeholders as a prevention and mitigation strategy on electoral violence. We are also working closely with the media. The Commission has entered into an MOU with the Media Council of Kenya to build capacity of the media on evidence-based and conflict-sensitive reporting of the electoral process. This is in addition to various safeguards under the Election Offences Act and complementary legislation. And lastly, or rather, yes, lastly, prosecution of electoral offences is another crucial area. Pursuant to the provisions of Article 88 and 252 of the Constitution, the Commission is empowered to prosecute any offence under the Election Act. However, the new Election Offences Act puts these powers under the ODPP, and we are working closely with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution to ensure that offenders are prosecuted. And we have a team which is already in place to ensure that happens. So additionally, in the Commission is also involved in Uyano platform. This is a platform for peace. This platform brings together several stakeholders interested in the peaceful conduct of elections. This ensures joint coordination from the national level to the smallest electoral unit at the county ward level. I urge that we continue leveraging our synergies on this forum to ensure that we have a free, fair, and credible election. I'm also aware that the judiciary has already trained the magistrates, special magistrates who have been trained specifically to handle matters arising from electoral violence, and we as a Commission applaud and recognize this initiative. In conclusion, I note that managing threats against security of the electoral process demands commitment from all stakeholders. Electoral stakeholders, including the youth, groups whom I met recently in my office, should commit themselves to cultivating a culture of peace and tolerance at all times, and put into place programs that will cultivate and promote a culture of peace and tolerance before, during, and after elections. So I want to congratulate and thank NCIC for this initiative. And as a country, let us remember that we have a country called Kenya, and that our names, we were just given our names, all of us have a name, as Awadi says. let us come here again after elections and celebrate that we have gone through a peaceful election. Thank you very much, and have a great morning.
Thank you, Chairman, for those remarks and reminding us that all actors in all of this, acting responsibly, will ensure that we have a free and fair election. I'd like to call on our next speaker, Mr. Peter Martin Ikimuli, and he is from the Communications Authority of Kenya, Manager of Multimedia Licensing and Development, and he is speaking on behalf of the Director General, Francis Wangusi. Mr. Ikimuli, take the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. Honorable Francis Olekaparo, Chairman NCIS, Mr. Ofula Chibukati, Chairperson of Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Mr. Hassan Mohammed, CEO of National Coalition and Integration, all agencies represented here, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. May I first convey the apologies from our Director General, Mr. Francis Wangusi, who was not able to be there. He's out of the country on official duties. And as the ICT Authority in Kenya, we are here to affirm our support and collaboration with NCIS. NCIS works towards a peaceful election. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to share the following strategies and framework that the authority has put in place towards a peaceful election. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly note that the authority, Communications Authority of Kenya, has put in place broadcasting standards. The broadcasting standards, according to the Kenya Communication Act 1998 as amended, and the broadcasting regulations, gave the authority the mandate to develop the standards in this sector. We have come up with the programming code and the complaints handling procedure. This tool, which came into effect on 1st of July 2016, they set out the time and manner of programs to be aired on our free-to-air TV and radio services. In this financial year 2016-2017, the authority has conducted several sensitization seminars and meetings with media houses in Nairobi, in Western, and in Coastal region on programming code and complaint handling procedures. These sensitization meetings were meant to inform the staffs of the broadcasting houses, specifically the reporters, the presenters, the program producers and editors, on the key aspects of the programming code. The programming code, one of the key areas of the programming code is on the accuracy and impartiality of news, protection of the democratic principles, protection of the public interest of the people of Kenya, protection of minors, and protection of individuals. In the programming code, we do emphasize on responsible broadcasting. The authority also has put in place a broadcast monitoring facility through which we are able to monitor content of all our TV and radio stations in different places in the country. Furthermore, we do have required all the broadcasters to be availing the content as we request. We did a letter communique to all the broadcasters in 2016 requiring them to be in accordance with Section 46I of the KICA 1998 KICA is amended to avail clips and transcripts to the authority whenever required. These are available for any work that NCIS will be needing. Ladies and gentlemen, in 8th of December 2016, we did another communique to all broadcasters informing them and requiring all broadcasters to exercise caution when airing content on matters of hate speech and incitement to violence in the run-up to the 2017 general election. We also require them to put the 7-second broadcast delay mechanism in airing live events. The authority has further gone to visit nearly all broadcasters to inspect them to verify that this aspect is indeed there and it is working. We also require all the broadcasters to have an editorial policy which will guide in live events. Because when people go there for a live event, they need to be educated on the do's and don'ts of the station so that they do not stray into areas that may propagate violence or incitement to violence in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, note that on 12 January 2017, the authority issued another press statement reminding broadcasters on the regulatory provision governing the responsible use of broadcasting platforms in view of the general election. Again, on 29th of March of this year, we did another communique to all broadcasting houses, notifying them that if their staff wants to go into elective position, they're supposed to be released so that we have that editorial independence. All this serves just to inform us that the authority is not waking up today, has been preparing the country and preparing the industry for a peaceful election. Ladies and gentlemen, the authority has been collaborating with other agencies. Wish to just give us a few things that we have done with other authorities. Like on 27th of February of 2017, we had a collaboration with IEBC, the Media Council of Kenya, the National Cohesion Integration, and the Directorate of Criminal Investigation. We had a meeting in Laiko with all the CEOs of the media houses, in which we again shared the importance of responsible broadcasting. On 22nd of March 2017, ladies and gentlemen, we also had another meeting in the coastal region of Kenya, where we sat together with the broadcasters in the region. We handled their issues and informed them of the importance of upholding peace, even during this period. The authority has put various mechanisms of engaging the public. We have had several consumer awareness forums, such as Kikao Kiku in the different counties. We have taken advantage of the ASK shows to showcase and to bring awareness to the public on the importance of the programming code. With regard to coverage, at the moment the DTT, digital terrestrial TV signal, covers more than 65% of the population of the country, and we have more than 139 radio stations in the country. And we are here to inform us that we are part and parcel of what is happening, and we are an active collaborator with NCIS on this one. With those few remarks, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ikumili, for giving us a brief on what the Communications Authority of Kenya is doing to ensure that we are indeed ready on all fronts, including the fourth estate. I heard a lot about what we need to do as the press in reporting responsibly, and we have heard. I'd like to invite our next speaker, Alois Kemo, speaking on behalf of the Director of Public Prosecutions, Keriako Tobiko. You may make your way up to let us know what the Office of the DPP is doing during this election cycle. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victoria. The chairman of IEBC who's just left, Mr. Wabukati, the chairman NCIC, the representative of the chair of the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, the CEO NCIC, the commissioners of NCIC, the Director of Criminal Investigations, Mr. Ndegwa Muhoro, all the agencies represented, ladies and gentlemen. I'm deeply privileged and honored to give these remarks on behalf of the DPP, who would have wished to be with you here, but has been engaged in some other official duties this morning. I'm delighted in part because this launch of election monitors presents a bright future for our country in investigation and prosecution of electoral and hate speech cases, and also the realization of a free, fair, peaceful and credible election process. It is not in doubt that elections are foundational in the furtherance of democracy, development of human rights and security. Consequently, the promotion and protection of the integrity of elections is very critical. In any election, authorities take steps to ensure that voters, candidates, poll workers, observers, and other actors involved in an election experience the process free from fear or harm, and to ensure that sensitive election materials are kept secure. In order for an election to be inclusive, participatory, and competitive, and ultimately to reflect the will of the people, it is essential that electoral contestants can campaign, citizens can cast informed secret ballots without fear of retribution, officials can effectively administer the process, and civil society, media and parties can engage and observe free from fear and harm. Hate speech and incitement to violence cases are the major hindrance to democratic consolidation in Kenya. Incitement to violence disrupts free competition and undermines political participation, but promotes mediocrity. By doing so, it creates potential disaffection, rancor, acrimony that heat up the political system. The ODPP, in exercising its mandate as enshrined under Article 157 of the Constitution and Section 21 of the Election Offences Act of 2016, is committed to impartially prosecute all perpetrators of election violence, irrespective of party affiliation, political positions, gender or race. The ODPP has established a prosecution team comprising 105 special prosecutors who will undertake to prosecute electoral, hate speech and incitement to violence cases during this electioneering period. The prosecutors have been intensely trained and sensitized on the electoral laws and the NCIC Act and the handling of digital and electronic evidence. To coordinate the activities of the prosecution team and to collaborate with the investigative agencies during this period, the ODPP has established a rapid response secretariat at the headquarters who are working day and night to ensure that the perpetrators of electoral violence and hate speech and incitement cases are dealt with accordingly. During the recent party primaries, we filed 31 election offences involving 62 individuals. These include an aspiring governor, a sitting MCAs, and an MP, among others. We have been relying heavily on the media in getting evidence on hate speech and incitement cases due to lack of monitors and gadgets. Ladies and gentlemen, with the launch of the monitors, we expect that the quality of investigations and prosecutions will improve, resulting into more convictions and having thereby a deterrent effect. As the investigators embark on the use of the monitoring gadgets, we urge them to ensure that the steps as prescribed by law in securing the electronic evidence and adducing the same in court are followed. The ODPP is collaborating with all agencies involved in the electoral process to ensure that the elections are free and fair. In this regard, the DPP has developed a quick reference guide on electoral and related offences, standard operating procedures for investigators and prosecutors, and sample charge sheets on electoral and related offences. The DPP has embarked on the process of sensitizing investigators and prosecutors, and this forum is one of them. And the fight against hate speech and incitement to violence cannot be won by one agency alone. The DPP is a member of a tripartite committee comprising the NCIC, the DCI, and the DPP himself. And to this end, the DPP assures all stakeholders of his commitment to working together to ensure that the people of Kenya exercise their democratic rights in a free, secure, and peaceful environment. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to wish you fruitful deliberations and commit that the DPP shall cooperate fully to ensure that hate speech and incitement to violence cases are heard and that the perpetrators are dealt with according to the law. Thank you for listening to me.
Mr. Kemo, thank you for your remarks on behalf of the DPP. Mr. Tobiko, who was not able to join us this morning. Now today the training, of course, will involve 190 officers who will be trained on monitoring, investigation, collection, and preservation of evidence while out on the campaign trail with various politicians who will be making their case to the electorate. And one very important actor is about to speak to us, the Director of Criminal Investigation, Mr. Ndegwa Muhoro, to let us know about what the CID is doing. Mr. Muhoro.
Thank you so much, Victoria. The Chairman of NCIC, the Vice Chair of NCIC, the CEO of NCIC, Commissioners of NCIC, staff from IEBC who are present. The Chair has just left. The representative of ODPP, Mr. Kemo, the representative of Registrar of Political Parties, officers from the National Police Service, and I believe they make the bulk of those who will be trained today, members of the further states, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me, and before I proceed, I want to just pass apologies for the IG. It's not that he didn't see the importance of being here, but he has gone on another national duty out of the city. With the two DIGs, they are somewhere in central region, but he's with us very much, and I'm standing here ably representing him. I feel quite gratified by what the launch that is going to happen today. That is the election monitoring program, which is very critical to what we be seeing from beginning 20th when the campaign proper begins. Of course, we have seen campaign happening around, but what we've been told is that they're popularizing parties and the candidates. But election proper kicks in on the 28th, that is Sunday. The importance of this training, access to the police and the entire country, will empower our officers, number one, to understand and internalize the relevant laws. And speaking to the whole idea of investigations and monitoring becomes very critical in terms of how we proceed. And we are urging our officers to apply the law impartially and effectively. And this particular session is just dovetails a conference that we just concluded on Wednesday, the Inspector General Conference, which brought together the regional coordinators from the 8 regions, the county commanders, that is KPS, APS, and DCI. And it was all about ensuring secure, safe, and free election 2017. And that's not the first meeting that we have done. And the preparation towards elections started as far back as June last year, in terms of reviewing performance previously, 2007, 2013, and developing national plan on how to police the 2017 national general elections. Last year, we had a conference in December. Again, we wanted to see how prepared we were in providing security at every stage that heads once at the election period. The voter registration, the party primaries that were just concluded, and pursuant to that, the party primaries that were conducted, we had this meeting that happened on Wednesday, and the emphasis again was to look at what worked in terms of the policing the party primaries and what didn't work. But by and large, we can say, and we picked it from other quarters, the performance of the police was something to be commended. And we are looking at what we need to do going forward. Of course, the dynamics, the landscape has changed. In our meeting conference in December, we were having done a mapping, having done a threat analysis. We identified some flashpoints, and our officers were sensitized to them, and of course the national plan was cascaded out to the county levels, where each and every county was required to come up with their own county specific plans to police the party primaries. That will inform how we police the elections right from the campaign period, that is before, during and after the elections. And the dynamics that have changed is that previously where we were thinking that the stronghold of certain parties, those who go through the party primaries, it's as good as election would have been concluded. You are all aware that this has changed with the coming up of the independent, and this is going to bring in a new dynamic, and that is what we are prepared for. That was majorly the purpose of our meeting on Wednesday, to see how to enrich the national plan to take us forward. So our officers are properly sensitized. Our officers have been given instructions, one of which is establishment of joint command centers across all the 47 counties. This has happened, it is happening, and we will continue to resource them to ensure that they are able in real time to monitor what is happening and determine the action that needs to be taken. And these command centers, they are fashioned in the same way as we've done the joint command centers in as far as fighting city is concerned. It brings in all the stakeholders who will be sitting and reviewing what has happened and taking decisions that are based on facts and realities on the ground. And we have encouraged the officers to act on early warning signs, to maintain very close links with our peace monitors, the 116 that have been trained so far, and to work also very closely with intelligence, the National Intelligence Service, and our criminal intelligence unit, especially to pick out those we think may cause trouble to the country. And I'm sending a very strong message that hate speech and allied offenses shall not be tolerated. I said it and I'll say it again some 2 weeks back in Malindi, that Pangani 6 was a joke. And this must be taken with the seriousness it deserves. We will not spare any effort to go for those who want to tear the country apart. The politicians are encouraged to seek for votes, and citizens are encouraged to listen to ideas as they cast their ballots. That opportunity will be afforded to them. And one of the instructions that has been given to the National Police Service is to ensure security of the IBC staff, the judicial staff, the electoral materials, members of public, and even the candidates themselves. And this will happen, and this is our cardinal responsibility in ensuring a secure and peaceful election. I want to encourage our officers to be fearless and impartial in delivering on the mandate that is bestowed upon them by the Constitution and the National Police Service Act. And we are telling them to apply the law without regard to a person standing in society, without regard to a person's political inclination, without regard to the ethnic background, without regard to gender. Those are very clear instructions that have been given, and we expect them to be followed to the letter. And we are asking officers to always act within the law and procedure. And that is why this training comes in very handy. And even the launch of the program itself. And this is part of the many other trainings that we have offered to officers in preparation for elections management, security management rather. We want them to live above any other standard that you have ever had before. And this can best be done if we always act within the law and procedures and apply the law impartially. The police service will stand by and protect any officer against any pressure resulting from lawful execution of duty. It is our responsibility to assure our officers that so long as they stick to the law, that as long as they operate within the procedures, they are protected. But anything outside of that, then the processes and procedures will take course. I want to appeal to all the political class to put the interest of the country first. And I wish they listen to Zawadi. The message from that little girl is a message that should go to all Kenyans. And to remind us that we have a country after 8th of August. A country that has over 40 million inhabitants from all shades, from all ethnic backgrounds. A people who belong together, a people who live within the construct called Kenya, geographic construct called Kenya. And we must ensure that we have that intact past 8th of August. I want to ask of them to be patriotic, to advance their ideas, to put across their agenda, to put across their policy that they may want to fulfill once elected, their manifestos, but do it in a civilized way. And just like indicated, they will speak very well in Kiswahili and English. The trouble is when they go back to their the ethnic languages. And we'll be watching. That I must assure everybody. And the DCI, we have a secretariat that will be closely monitoring, working closely with NCIC, the happenings on 24-hour basis. We have procured the necessary equipment to enable us do this. We have very close working relationship with the CA. We have our officers in NCIC. We have our officers at CA. And just like we do beat and patrols on the streets, in the rural areas, we'll be doing the same as regard the activities of social media. So I'm just questioning those of us, the bloggers and the rest, who want to vent, who want to propagate hate speeches or hate ideas through the social media. We are watching. And you're working as a government, not as individual institutions or agencies. The resource, the government resource, the public resource, all put together, must deliver a very safe country. And I want to assure Kenyans that we are up to the task. And I'm saying political leadership is transient in nature, and we have a country to safeguard for posterity. Kenyans need peace and security for social and economic prosperity. Let's stick to that. And a message to the Kenyan voter to be vigilant and demand quality leadership from those who are seeking for elected positions. And we are advising that they should shun hate mongers and not glorify them like you've seen before, whether you belong to the same community or not. At the end of the day, and I've always said this, you don't choose neighbors. You have Onyango, who's a neighbor to Kamau, who's a neighbor to Wafula, who's a neighbor to Mweni, and they borrow each other's salt, just like you, in the African way. The political class belongs elsewhere, and this must be said, so that we are not divided on those perceptions. And they know where they belong, and they know where they live, and that is why they have no class, they have no ethnic. They meet, they drink together, they do business together, but they want to divide us. This we must run from. It is the responsibility of the Kenyans to ensure that this doesn't happen. We are urging them to report rogue political players to authorities. Put bad leaders in the political cold, because that's where they belong. We don't want leaders into darkness. And to government agencies, we have worked together. We continue working together. And once we do this, posterity will judge us in any manner possible. We have worked very closely with NCIC. We have worked very closely with the Office of ODPP. We have worked very closely with CA and all other stakeholders. And that's what we're encouraging our officers in the field to do. And that brings about the whole idea of the Joint Command Centers. It's a multi-agency framework within which that will be operating. Non-governmental actors, the civil society, you're most welcome to observe, you're most welcome to contribute in any manner. And we are requesting and urging you and encouraging you to contribute to a peaceful and secure and fair election 2017. It is the responsibility of every Kenyan to work towards a peaceful, safe and secure country beyond the August elections. Ladies and gentlemen, with these remarks, I want to wish all of us very fruitful deliberations. I believe the outcome of this program will enrich the other plans of the National Police Service that we have had. It will enrich other programs. The chairman IBC just talked of ESAP. From the DCI, we have trained quite a number of officers, investigators, especially crime scene management. And that's looking even beyond that, just an event, that you have some of those commissions, some of the areas, gender-related offenses, violence, sexual-related offenses, so that you're able to preserve that evidence. And I want to encourage us, again, just like appealed by the office of the ODPP, the ODPP, the need for us to observe the chain of custody of exhibits. Let's not lose cases because we didn't do things that we are doing. But again, on the same vein, I want to urge the judiciary to really focus on facts and evidence as presented. The technicalities that the country is burning will not be useful for any person. We want to fight together. We want to deliver a safe and secure and peaceful election 2017. Thank you so much, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Muhoro, for your remarks and exhibiting that this is indeed a multi-sectoral initiative, and is very important to show that we need all relevant stakeholders to ensure that we have a peaceful elections. And you said something very important in your speech, that Kenya needs to be intact after the August 8th elections. We need our country to be peaceful after August 8th. And can we say and can we commit to that as a Kenyan people? That is a challenge to all of us, and something that indeed, a message that one man who's about to speak to us has been championing before this election cycle. Honorable Francis Ole Kaparo has been telling this country we need to work together and see ourselves as equals. I'd like to invite the NCIC Chair, Mr. Ole Kaparo. Mr. Speaker, the floor is yours.
Ndugu commissioners na ndugu maofisa wahusika na wala ambao tumewaita ili kuwatayarisheni kushughulikia Kenya wakati huu wa muhimu. Naomba kuwasalimu hamjambo. Ndugu wa Kenya walio na masikio wamesikia. Nataka kurudia kwa Kiswahili. Walio na masikio wamesikia. Na nataka kusema tayari tumeelezwa ya kwamba idara ya mahakama tayari imewafunza mahakimu ambao kazi yao ni kushughulikia wakorofi wa kisiasa, hitmongers and inciters. Wako tayari. Nakumbuka wakati tulikuwa Mombasa kuwazungumzia MCAs kutoka Kenya mzima, naibu jaji mkuu wa Kenya aliwaelezeni wale waliokuwa pale na wale waliokuwa wanamsikiza ama kumtazama ya kwamba idara ya mahakama iko tayari. Use her own words, you go out there, campaign peacefully, but if you go out there and break the law, we are waiting for you. So they are there waiting. Na wale ambao watawapelekeeni ni nyinyi. Wahalifu hawaendi peke yao. Unakumbuka wakati ya Pangani 6, wengine walienda kwa televisheni wakaniambia, wewe Kaparo ni nani? Hatutakuja hata hiyo ofisi yenu kuandika taarifa. Nikamwambia kama hamuji mtaletwa. Na waliletwa. Hata sasa wale watakaofunja sheria, wale wanaongojewa na mahakama watapelekwa. So sikizeni, mahakama yako tayari. Mumeelezwa hivyo. Tumejitayarisha. Tumeambia pia hapa, ndugu mwenyekiti wa IBC, wametengeneza kamati ya kuhakikisha kwamba wale wanaotafuta viti watachunguzwa na kuhakikisha kwamba watafuata taratibu zilizowekwa kuhakikisha kwamba watafanya kampeni zao kwa njia ya heshima na usalama. Na kama hamtafanya, mnaongojewa pale. Sisi hivi sasa tumewaiteni hapa kama wapelelezi na polisi, ya kwamba jukumu lenu la kwanza ni kuhakikisha kwamba Wakenya wanaheshimu sheria iliyowekwa. Lakini kwa leo tunakuja hapa kujitayarisha kuhakikisha wakorofi wakivunja sheria wanashughulikiwa haraka iwezekanavyo. Na nyinyi na mafunzo mko nayo, mtaongezewa mafunzo mengine hivi leo na kesho. Na tutaendelea na mafunzo hayo, ili ushahidi ambayo itatakiwa na koti mtakuwa mmekushapata, mumehifadhi na mtapeleka kotini kwa njia ambayo koti itakubali, na yule mhalifu apewe adhabu yake. Tusije tukawa ya kwamba tunapeana vitisho. Wasikize hawa. Tunaongezea nyinyi vifaa. Tayari mlikuwa nazo voice recorders. Tunaongeza zingine zaidi. Hivi leo mmeshukua tayari. Mtafunzwa vile mtatumia. Mtafunzwa vile ushahidi huo mtahifadhi na kutoa kwa koti. Mafunzo mko nayo, vifaa mko nazo. Sheria inawalazimu na kuwaruhusu kuwashika wanaovunja sheria. Na wahalifu wana jina moja tu. Mwenye kuvunja sheria jina lake ni moja, anaitwa mhalifu. Hakuna honorable lawbreaker. Ama kuna mhalifu ni mhalifu. Kwa hivyo mtu ashughulikiwe kama mhalifu pahali anavunja sheria. Mmetoka kaunti zote za Kenya na sub counties, kule ndio sheria inavunjwa na wale wanaovunja sheria kule. Na ikivunjwa sheria kule kwenu, kule sheria inavunjwa, shughulikieni hawa hapo na wakati huo. Sikiza juzi Waziri Ngaizeri akizungumzia wakuu wa polisi ya kwamba msitafute ruhusa ya kushika wahalifu ambao wanafanya matamushi ya chuki. Tunakubaliana naye. Na tunawauliza tena, responsibility ya kwanza ya ofisa wa polisi ni kuhakikisha kwamba wahalifu wakivunja sheria wanashikwa. Kwa sababu bila nyinyi, bila kikosi ya polisi, hakuna nchi itakuweko. Wahalifu watatawala. So responsibility yenu ni kuhakikisha kwamba wahalifu hawatawali. Na tutashikana na nyinyi kama vile tumekwisha fanya hapo mapema. Na kueleza Wakenya kwamba shughuli hii sio ya polisi peke yao, sio NCIC peke yake, sio Electoral Commission peke yake. Idara tofauti wanahusika. Walio na masikio, sikizeni Director of Public Prosecution. Alikuwa hapa na amesema wamekusha weka tayari prosecutors ya kazi hii. Koti wamejitayarisha, wako na magistrate, wamekuwa trained. Nyinyi polisi mko tayari, mnakuwa trained kuwashika wahalifu. Director of Public Prosecution amekuwa tayari, amefunza wale watakao shitaki. Sasa ni jala tu inabaki. Na jela iko tayari. Ndugu Mohoro, ikiwa lazima tuondoe wahalifu wa makosa ndogo kwa masel, ndio nafasi hiyo ishukuliwe na hawa wakorofi, fanye hivyo. Wapate makaribisho. Ni tunaangalia sana mambo ya uhalifu wa wale wanaozungumza mambo ya chuki. Sasa wengine wamehama kutoka kwa funerals na political rallies, wanahamia kwa social media, wanaenda kwa social media. Hata kule tuwafuata tu. Tayari tumetrain pia social media monitors. The Communication Authority of Kenya is also working very closely with all of us to ensure that we rein on this what was called by former Chief Justice Mutunga social media bandits. So kazi ndio hiyo, na tutakuwa wengi kwa sababu Kenya hii lazima iweko huyu mtoto Zawadi na wengine watoto wenzao na watu wazima, lazima wawe hai kupiga kura, na lazima wawe hai baada ya kura. Na hiyo ni wajibu wetu sisi wote kuhakikisha Wakenya watapiga kura kwa njia ya usalama, na baada ya kupiga kura wako salama. Wakenya wenzangu, kazi yako ni kuchagua yule unayempenda. Fanya hivyo kwa njia ya usalama. Piga kura yako, nenda nyumbani, fanya shughuli zako pale. Naangalia wakati huu na miaka iliyopita, nafikiri kwa jumla wa Kenya wangetaka kuchagua watu yao kwa amani. Kwa jumla, hiyo ndio mapenzi ya Wakenya, na hiyo ndio kazi yetu kuhakikisha watafanya kazi hiyo kwa amani. Lakini nataka kusema hivi, hakuna ofisi ya kisiasa ambayo inastahili mtu afe ndio mwingine apate. No office is worth the life of a Kenyan. So those who seek political office, just know this, that Kenya does not die or should not die because you have lost a political office. Your political demise should not be the demise of Kenya or the demise of Kenyans. Ndio message yetu sisi. Nyinyi mna jukumu kubwa sana, kwa sababu Kenya mzima inawategemeeni pamoja na sisi wale tuko hapa. So jukumu hiyo ni kubwa, na mumepewa na nchi yenu na Mungu nafasi ya kuwatumikia wakati huu. Mwenyezi Mungu amewapeeni muwe hai, nchi yenu imewapatia kazi hii ya polisi, muhakikisha kwamba Kenya itafanya uchaguzi yake kwa usalama. So mna wajibu kwa Mwenyezi Mungu na wajibu kwa nchi yako. Tekeleza yote mbili. Hakikisha unatekeleza ya Mwenyezi Mungu, hakikisha unatekeleza ya nchi yako. La mwisho, kazi hii haitaki watu waoga. Na ningependa kujua kati yenu wale mko hapa, wangapi wenu waoga? Ainue mkono juu, waoga. Muinue mikono, kwa sababu kama wewe ni mwoga, hii kazi haifanyiki. Uende nyumbani, utachukua mwingine, kaenda ukafanya kazi nyingine. Wangapi sio waoga? Basi hiyo ndio inatakiwa. Fanya kazi yako bila uoga, na fanya kazi yako bila kupendelea ama kudhulumu mtu. Hiyo ndio message yetu kwenu. Na mkifanya hivyo alafu mtatizwa na wengine, angalieni sisi tutawateteeni, na mjue mimi si muoga. Sauti yetu mtapata, na usaidizi wetu tutawapa, kwa sababu hii nchi yetu, yangu na wewe na wengine wote, lazima tuhifadhi, lazima hakikisha itakweko, na tusaidie wale ambao wakati wa kura lazima pia mwe huko, wale wanaandikwa kufanya hiyo kazi ya kura. Bwana Muhora alisema, na ni kweli, watapewa usalama. lakini nao muangalia kwa macho pia wasije wakaiba kura, kwa sababu ni kazi yenu pia kuhakikisha ikiwa kuna mtu anataka kuibia mwenzake kura hapo ashughulikiwe. Tumeelewana? Wakenya ndugu zangu, naomba kitu kimoja Wakenya, na narudia vile nilivyosema wakati wa mkutano ya IBC on election preparedness. Nataka kurudia tena, ndugu wa Kenya, msiwashangilie wachochezi. Ni watu hatari. Wilimi haina mfupa, lakini huwa na sumu. Msiwashangilie wachochezi, wakemeeni. Wasikize wote wanaotafuta kura zenu, lakini msiwatukane. Kwenda kwa mkutano ya kisiasa kusikiza, sio kupiga mayowe. Hiyo ndio ustaarabu. Kenya pengine ni nchi ya kipekee ambayo kila miaka 5 watu hujaa maji tumbo kwa sababu ya uchaguzi. Lazima tupindue hii. Zoezi hii ya uchaguzi isije ikawa chanzo ya furugu, ya kifo, kukosa kuelewana na kuuana. We must learn to do our elections peacefully as a civic duty. Namaliza kwa message hiyo. Mtakuwa na watu wengi kufanya nao kazi. NCIC tumetrain na kudeploy monitors 116 kwa kila county, na tunapata habari nyingi kila siku kutoka kwao grassroots. Mtafanya kazi na hao, tutauliza mshirikiane pamoja. Kuna monitors wengine wamewekwa na taasisi tofauti, fanyeni kazi nao. Let's pull the resources together, because we all want one thing: a peaceful election, a peaceful, fair election for every Kenyan to be satisfied. So fanyeni kazi na hawa pia. Tutakuwa na situation room katika NCIC. Hizo information yote kutoka kwenu, kutoka kwa monitors na Wakenya wengine wa heri njema itafika pale. Na ikishafika pale tutasambaza kwa idara husika. Wale wanataka wanastahili kujua ili washukue hatua, tutawaeleza. Na tutafuata kwamba hatua imeshukuliwa pamoja na wengine. So tuko tayari na nyinyi. Na nyinyi mko tayari? Basi naomba kulonji kitu sasa. Hasa ninalonjiwa vipi? Na kuwatakieni masomo yenye fanaka. Zamani tulipokuwa wanafunzi kulikuwa na kitabu kidogo ya Kiswahili, someni kwa furaha. Asanteni sana. I now officially launch this training program. You're here. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more round of applause. The NCIC 2017 Elections Monitoring Program is officially launched as we prepare our police officers for their very important task ahead of the August 8th elections. Their role in ensuring we have free and fair elections begins today. Thank you to all of our speakers, dignified guests who have laid the ground for us as we prepare for August 8th. The training begins today. A bit later on, we're going into a tea break, after which we will begin training with the various actors who have been involved in this initiative from the Office of the DPP, the CID, NCIC as well, in ensuring that our police officers are equipped in monitoring, investigating, collecting, and preserving evidence while out on the campaign trail. I want to thank all of our invited guests for joining us, and I hope you heard the messages from this podium loud and clear. The challenge has been accepted. We will release you now into the tea break. Thank you once more, and also there will be more